Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 42. And I just constantly I start these things having a chuckle because as I'm getting ready to record, I'm just noticing funny little things. So, like memory games, like things that you play with your kids, like memory match and stuff, and things that I still, I like to do it when it's like in a Mario game or like when we're doing Mario Party, they have memory match things in there. But basically, it's where you match two images together and then you made a pair. So then you get to take that set or whatever. And, when I was growing up, we used to compete with each other. And even I did this with my kids. Like we would play like how many matches we could get. Anyways, and it was just a thing. All right. So, anyways, and then I clear my throat and all this, but no, and just what made me think of that was like as I'm kind of keeping track of which of these videos I've uploaded, and then, then on the other side, I got to go on the YouTube and add them to the playlist and make sure that they're in the proper playlist. And yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into YouTube. So the people that have the millions of subscribers, likes, and everything, they've earned it. Like, that's okay. And I might get there one day, but you'll start seeing videos that are actually of that quality and that content, and then you'll know he made it. Like, nah, just kidding. Um, because I don't know, it's like apples and oranges, like comparing different mediums. Just like there's the podcast. So, and that's the other thing too, I've noticed. Sorry, the whole point about this was like the idea of reducing friction, and then I had a point, asking about like making plans with someone, and then, and that goes back to like relationships. Sorry, so like back in the day, when I was a kid, when I was dating and stuff, like the norm was, oh, the boy paid for things, or that's like the chivalry thing to do, or whatever. And then And nowadays, and this is all relevant because this goes back to Sharia law, Christianity, how we treat women, and all of that. It's all related. And right here, my simple explanation was when I was a kid, I spent a lot of money on girlfriends, a lot of money that I didn't really have. Like, I mean, my family didn't have a lot of money, so there was that. And then, like, so they weren't able to say certain things like, oh, yeah, sure, borrow the Lexus, or, oh, you can have some money to go out. So right there, like there's a difference there. So different people can afford different things. So then there's different expectations set. So like now, like if you're gonna go out on a date, you see all these dates or examples of dates. Well, that might be examples of dates like in the city. Well, city folk can, afford this. Well, then country folk, they can usually handle a lot more things. And again, this is being the generalizations, the broad generalizations of like city slickers versus country folk. That's one, and South Park does an amazing job with like basically, Republicans versus Democrats as far as the war is concerned. And it really is split down to like Democrats are more city folk and Republicans are more simple country folk. But then that's not even fair because then like that's like the main idea of it. And that's what a lot of the fears and the concerns from what I've noticed are, is that if you're a good old boy, or a country gal, like you vote Republican, or or this and that, and it's like that's such a shocker. And again, we're in Colorado, so even that, Colorado, not Colorado, but anyways, so we're here in Colorado. We're a purple state. We have a lot of Republicans and Democrats. We have a lot of city and country living. We've got a lot of the little mixtures. So then it's like, well, we're undecided. We're just kind of both. And so it's where it's like we need these things to a point, but then we don't. Hmm. So, okay, how do we fix it? Well, let the states decide everything. Well, okay. But then that allows for like 50 renegade states, like, because then if they started doing things like the abortion issue is just a big thing that it just showed how dangerous it is to let states control themselves. But that's exactly what we just said. We're like, okay, wait, let the states control themselves. Let them have their independence. Let them figure it out. But wait, no, like, let them figure it out in the way that I intended. And that is human nature in a nutshell. That is England and America. That is the kids going off to college. That is the kids leaving the house, like, to go find things out for their own, the circle of life. And then they'll, like, come back and be like, oh, you were right all along. And then it's like, huh, okay. Wow. That's really I'm just kidding. No, without hmm. That actually is profound. Like the reason that we couldn't have perfect paradise is because you wouldn't have friction, and without friction, you wouldn't have a plot. You wouldn't have a good story. You wouldn't have the emotions released because at the end of the day, we are trying to just keep our race going. And then it's our race, like the human race. Hmm. Although again, that's kind of like a natural thing. Like just we are kind of in a race with every other. We're competing with every other living organism. And again, South Park did it. Like South Park has an episode where it's like Earth, the TV show, where we took all these crazy species and put them all on one planet and see how they interact together. And it's kind of like, oh, how interesting to think about. Like, we could just be a planet like one giant game show. And then it's like kind of like telescopic, like, okay, you zoomed in here. Now let's zoom out and then let's like pivot and change the idea to, okay, what happens if it's out here? And then, all right, now let's zoom back in and like, I don't know. And I feel like that's kind of like the life cycle of, uh, well, like adult cartoons or like Adult Swim, which even that sounds weird. Like the concept of Adult Swim sounds weird, and they have that at the pool I go to. Uh, um, yeah, sorry, not giving away too much information, but oh, I go to a pool. Which pool? And actually, I'm about to switch pools. So red pool, blue pool. The better way to do it is just make every pool as secure as possible, to where it doesn't matter which pool I go to. I go to a pool, and then those people that don't go to a pool, we need to make it to where they can go to a pool. And see, even in my lifetime, I went from when I was growing up, we had to go 30 miles over. And this is that whole tired old thing. Like back in my day, I had to walk uphill in the snow. And it's true. Like back in anyone's day, they had to do a lot of harder things and had to jump through a lot more hoops than what we get to today. Like, it's very real. And but not anymore. So now you don't have to worry about these things. Just like or no, let's see. Think about like a plague taking out like two-thirds although we almost had to worry about that because with COVID and stuff, it got really bad, and whatever your personal opinions were on it, it spread really fast, and it got people really sick, and a lot of people died. So then it's like, okay, so noted. I mean, we're not exactly impervious to a black plague, like. And then if you're like, oh, it was all a hoax, well, no, that's dangerous because there were a lot of people that died, and whether those people died exclusively from COVID and even then you get the subgroup of like, well, they could have died because of complications from COVID, meaning that if COVID wasn't a thing, they wouldn't have died in that situation. So yes, it was COVID that killed them, even though it wasn't. And then the same could be said about marijuana and substance use. Also, did I put an alarm? Sorry, because we're about to go into a tangent. Let's see. Um, We did not set an alarm. So now we have it. It is 4:25. We got about 8 minutes in. All right, it's now 4:34. Add about, well, wait, no, we need 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes from now, 4:45. That's how I'm figuring these things out. And then it gives you an answer. Okay, so that is 20 minutes. 20 minutes sound good and good. So, all these things just like, it's just like when you stop and then they like you just act suspicious. Or it could be that their code is meant to, okay, now try to interact. So this is a process like, do they want to buy something, sell something? Actually, yeah, let's talk about marijuana and substances. So, and human behavior. So I went down to Jamaica in high school, and I was a stoner. Let's just get that out of the way. Um, and so, anyways, I went down to Jamaica. This was a senior trip. It was supposed to be like a big celebration that I graduated high school, and it was kind of like a prize. Like my parents, well, I mean, my dad I don't think was even alive at that time, but like they were going to reward me with a trip to somewhere, like some celebration. Like congratulations, you did it. You graduated high school, and that is a big thing. It's a very important thing. Not every family can afford to do things like that. And I want to say that I mean, either no, the Jamaica trip. My parents bent over backwards for and spent a lot of money they didn't have on a trip they sent me. So, and even right there, it's like, huh, a realization there where like, we need to respect our elders because they do. They give themselves to provide for us. And so, yeah, just like, and as a parent now, I can tell you that everything I have is really for my kids now. It's no longer about me. It's no longer my show. It's their show, their turn. But it's still my turn. Like, I mean, I haven't like checked out. I'm still here, but like now I'm getting to a point where I'm comfortable. Let's make it to where my kids are comfortable. And then by that extension, I'm getting comfortable. Let's make it to where people that I've never met around the world are comfortable. Because, hey, why not? I don't know you, but I want the best for you. And that's true, like anybody. Sorry, we got off on like a whole tangent there, but I do have the alarm set. Anyways, uh, and I laugh about that because so many things seem like common sense just because of situations you've had. Oh yeah, stoners, Jamaica. There you go. So let's talk about human behavior. All right. So I went down to Jamaica and I was at an all-inclusive resort. It was very fancy, very, nice. And because I paid good money to do it. Now, right away, I know from having worked at a ski resort how much it sucks watching people having fun while you're working. Any resort job goes through it, and it's like, oh, you're off having fun while, and especially when people rub it in, like, you get kids acting up like, pick it up, slave, and they just don't understand that they're taking it too far. Not saying any of this is like really what I've witnessed firsthand, but like when you're relaxing and you're on vacation, you're not supposed to worry about work. You're not supposed to do anything. So then you start letting other things slip. Like you start treating people a little less nice than you normally would. But wait, I was told I was supposed to be on vacation. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you can just be a complete jerk to people. And then, okay, so what if you can't even afford a vacation in the first place? So there's a common meme like format out where it has images from I forget what the movie is called, but it's the one where there's Jennifer Aniston and then there's the guy and then they're like trying to smuggle drugs. Oh wait, sorry. Let's finish the meme. Let's finish talking about Jamaica. So the drugs in the movie, they were smuggling marijuana or something, and that's why it was even kind of funny. Is because like depending on which state you're in, a pound of marijuana would get you a slap on the wrist, or a pound of marijuana would like put you in prison for 10, 20 years. And so right there, it's just showing you the ridiculous nature of our laws, and not saying either is right. Like my personal opinion is alcohol should be the one that's illegal, and marijuana should be the one that you can get at the corner store and the bars and should be watched over. But we've seen what prohibition did. So right there, you can't just take something away without putting something else in to replace it. Like the Indiana Jones thing, like you're wearing the golden idol versus the sack of sand. Well, to satisfy this system and keep that booby trap from activating, you just need to weigh it down with a sack of sand. Well, that was someone trying to protect their valuables because they wanted those valuables to be available to their god, or they believed that that was, and I don't mean to like glaze over that because we do the same thing. We like pour one out for the homies, or, whatever spiritual thing that you want to do or say, like everybody is capable of doing it. Like, that's the biggest thing is like, just knowing that we're all people and you can say it and it's like, oh yeah, right, sure, why doesn't that make sense? And that's probably why it doesn't, like, right away, because it's like, okay, well, that's not enough. We're all people, but because of our situations, we might act differently and might even dangerously. Like that's the thing, especially if you when you add in like life or death situations or perceived life or death situations. Now, like drug use, substance use. If you're addicted to a substance, then your brain is actually telling you that you cannot exist or survive without that substance because it is a chemical reaction. Like when you're using an illegal substance, it floods your brain with endorphins. Yeah, let's go ahead and just like bring in all this stuff over while we talk about this. So, it floods your brain with endorphins and it gives your brain the signals that, oh yeah, this is good. And like, and now the other thing to think about is like, okay, so noted, drugs bad, never do drugs. Okay, well, that's not the whole point, and that's where we got into trouble. So we banned marijuana just outright. It's a drug. How dare it? And like, and that's not just because someone's old fashioned. It's because their perception or their understanding of a substance would lead them to believe that it is the devil, or and we joke about reefer madness being like, oh, it's the devil. Or if you watch Adam Sandler Waterboy, Bobby Boucher, like he's got that mama who's just looking out for her kid, in a crazy world, and like so it's understandable. But oh, it's the devil, and then he has to make excuses for his mom, like to fit in society. And that's it. Like everybody should be watching all the Adam Sandler movies. Ugh, sorry, hold on. And you know what everybody does in Adam Sandler movies? They smoke pot. And that's probably why certain people are adverse to learning from these pieces of content, is because they're like, oh no, like, it's bad. So now automatically everything they say is bad and it's the word of the devil. And see, and that's why the idea of the devil is so dangerous, because even if the devil does exist, like, and again, I'm saying like maybe he or she does, like, I don't know. I mean, I've never seen him. I've never seen her. They could exist. I don't think so. I mean, it's not very likely, but stranger things have been known to happen, like aliens or monsters or anything that we say is fiction, up until it's proven. Ah, see, right there. I was just basically calling all of religion fiction, just because it's unproven. Like, I'm not saying it, and even if it's real, like, it's really not something you can put, like, risk your life on, unless you're absolutely sure. I don't know. Like, if it came down to, like, life or death, and even that gets really dark, because then there's stories about in the war, World War II, like, the Nazis would actually have you choose between which of your kids you loved more, and then, yeah, it's just horrible stuff. Horrible. And we don't need to go down that now. We just need to make sure it never happens again and remember that people did it. It wasn't some monster, it wasn't some space alien, it was people. So, and then there's a lot of profound thing like that. Like, I'm watching Gravity Falls right now. Hilarious cartoon. You should check it out if you get a chance. And it's on the Disney Plus. I'll advertise for Netflix and Disney all day, but I'm just a satisfied customer. No, they're not paying me to say that or anything, but they could. They don't have to. It's just good stuff. Like, you can see it. Anyways, my point being is like already in Gravity Falls, I've seen a few examples of where they have that idea that like people are the real monster, and like, or like they have like, oh, and this is the scariest monster yet, and they reveal it to be just a mirror or something, and it's true. Like we're trying to solve all these problems. We're trying to protect the wildlife, protect the forest, protect from ourselves. Like that's all we're doing is we're protecting all of this stuff from ourselves. Wait, what was the story behind this? Oh yeah. And see now I'm running with it because now this offset everything, because this is actually a bad idea to have this be the first mining spot. Like what I really should have done is done here, but we've committed because we've already dug these tunnels. Well, and already right there, just be aware that whenever these tunnels connect with the other tunnels, they might not line up correctly. And there's the reason, is because at this time, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense because this is a good place to keep track of where I'm at. But then I was like, oh no, this is bad because that could be mistaken for a hole. And unless I'm mining like this, so right there, problem solving just by playing a video game. I mean, and it's not just a video game. Like it explains circuit logic. It explains like concepts in computer science, like math, science, all this stuff. And well, yeah, it is kind of like just a fun computer game. It's so much more. Buy it today. No, I'm just kidding. Like, and go watch the movie Idiocracy, seriously, because that is like, that's why it's so cringy to be saying these things, doing these things, and why I also don't like making too many YouTube videos, because at the end of the day, you are still selling yourself. And then whether you make good videos or just catchy videos, or you just make so many videos that say like and subscribe, like you're still going to get that. Like, and then a lot of it's just like kids sitting at home that have access to YouTube where they're like, okay, I'll like and subscribe. Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But even as a person, like observing market behavior and human behavior, and again, I studied this stuff in college, like just briefly. But anyways, like there is actually the behavior that I have that impulse to hit that like button or hit that subscribe button. And that's all they care about. They want to get millions of subscribers. Yay. I'm thinking of Ollie A when I'm saying all this stuff too, because I've watched a lot of his stuff, and he does the Fortnites, and I'm getting into the Fortnites. Well, uncomfortable subject, but no. Anyways, um, that's one thing he says a lot, and he has a lot of followers, a lot of viewers, and I'll even say that I forgot about liking and subscribing when I watched Waddles. It didn't hit me until about like my fifth or sixth video in that I was watching of his. I was like, oh, I like his stuff. I want to, and then I went back and I liked all the videos that I'd watched, and it's something that you actually have to think to do and make the effort to do it. Even though it's free and all that, but it's really not free because then you're aligning yourself with whatever content they're producing. So now you're committed to being like, oh, I support this. So right there, you're kind of casting a vote. And that's why it could be seen as scary for older generations versus younger. Whereas younger generation, they might just know like, oh, la, 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 like and subscribe. It doesn't cost me anything. But then, and this is the important thing to point out, they're already problem solving, younger and younger, better and better. And it is sad. Like, you want to keep their innocence. And I say that as a parent, like, I want to just keep them young and curious and like excited about the world. And we still can. And see, that's the other thing too, is like we say stuff like that, but then we're like, oh, scientists, get a job, or you dirty hippie, or something like that. But it's like almost everybody can agree that like we should keep that age of wonder alive, like those aha moments. Like that's why teachers, educators love what they do so much. And that's why I wanted to become an educator, is like I want to help people get that experience. Like I want you to have your brain release those chemicals in that way that's not creepy, that's not, and there's all these caveats too, because, well, if you're not careful with those definitions, that is how like all crimes are committed. Like, I want you to experience those chemicals released in your brain, but appropriately. And see right there. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, because it is age appropriate. And I'm sorry, there's no getting around that. Like, it just has to. You can't just like you can't just have a kid pop out and be like, okay, now here's everything, and then it's just too much. It's that throughput of like, it's too much too fast. Granted, they are capable of processing things way faster and way better now, because now we've given them the tools, like, oh, amazing tools. Like they can learn, they can teach, they can replicate things, they can do things with the utmost quality and the utmost care, like things that we could only dream of. I mean, so your bargain, like, okay, let's put it in reference like this way. So Walmart, you go to get cheap stuff, cheaply made stuff. And again, in my lifetime, this is how the trend of Walmart has changed. Like, it's still the cheapest stuff or the cheaper stuff, but it's also like they're still getting better overall. Like they're still making improvements where they can, leveraging what they can do while still maintaining lower prices. Like it's all connected. I mean, because everybody would just give everything away for free if they could. Like, and that's the other thing too. How do we fix greed? Because you see, Joel Osteen, that's the first easiest thing to pick out. Because if you're going to make it rich off of helping people, and again, even if he is helping, even if he is living just as Jesus, he's not living as Jesus. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is like everything that the book tells you to watch out for, because he's got super mansion while people are out there living in boxes. So right there, anybody that's living in a super mansion, and they say the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, they kind of are, actually. I mean, like the average, everyday, common person now has access to being heard, being seen. Wow. And that's actually kind of like a bittersweet thing right there. Like my moment of realization is like, why am I doing this? Is it really just a, no, I do get some enjoyment out of being like, okay, yeah, you're right. But that's the thing, is like, I don't even care to know it. Like, that sounds weird, because there's an implicit awkwardness with people like showing gratitude. And that's a concept that it's not exclusive to America, but it's easily observed in America. And that is like holidays. We give gifts. We place a lot of importance on gift giving, just to like let people know that we care. And then because we have so many dollar amounts, we let people know exactly how much they care. Whereas like, I don't know, someone that doesn't have a lot might give you something that's special to them, and then it's worth its weight in gold, because then it's like, oh, well, this was, what is that, sentimental. It has sentimental value over actual physical value. And then you get into the whole thing like Back to the Future, Marty McFly and all that, like just the rich kids having all the nice stuff, and then the poor underdog kids get the girl, or like, there's hope for everybody. But the sad reality is like the people that do have the money get the stuff, get the girl, get the whatever, and the girl wants the person with the money and the stuff. And then you realize the whole time we're talking about this, it's all up to the guy. And right there, that's why it's dangerous trying to protect something, because you can protect it all you want, and then you end up suffocating it and controlling it, and then it wants to rebel, then it becomes like your enemy. I'm just saying, like, you think about the model of like England and America. Like that's like a parent-child relationship. So they wanted to raise the child right, help them succeed, help them grow, help continue, peace for the empire, for the whatever. Like they wanted to spread their area of control over all the land. Well, not for like any nefarious purposes, like I woke up today and I want to see someone in shackles. No, it's like, no. Nobody ever does that. That's just not a thing. However, and this is where a lot of comedians have already picked up on it. They're like, however, I guess I could go for a genocide, like something like that. So it's like, in relation to other things, some really horrible things start to not look so bad. And that's why it's important that we have these stories and that we share these stories. It's also why you go out and enjoy these stories, not just listen to what I say, because I'm just relating and connecting dots. Like, I've watched all the Adam Sandler movies. I've consumed all of this entertainment. I've watched not all the South Parks, actually, and that's kind of like an embarrassing thing. Like, I'm not a true fan if I haven't seen, no, I've just seen a lot of South Park, and we can leave it at that. Like, I've spent a lot of money on South Park things, so I'm not entitled to anything. I bought it, and I enjoyed it, and there we go. So, anyways. And that's something hard to understand, like wrap your mind around, because we do have so many sweepstakes and lottery things. And actually, real quick, I will say Gorillaz, The Plastic Beach, best album ever. And it talks about, um, well, go buy the album, go support the band. No, but I mean, it has really good points. It talks about like sweepstakes and how we have a bunch of lotteries, and we have this idea that people that you can just have a random thing to where, oh, okay, never mind, you don't have to work. Like, oh, how, my apologies, sir, harumph, harumph, you don't have to work. And that's what it is. We have these wealth disparities or inequalities, whether implied or real, intentional or unintentional, but at the end of the day, we still have them. And until we can actually redistribute the wealth to where everybody has an equal amount of life. Okay, so that's like the ultimate end goal is like, okay, how do you make it as fair to everyone as possible? And that's really it is, because life isn't fair because at any given time, we might not have the ability or the bandwidth or like the anything like that. Actually, how are we doing on time? Okay, it is about time. So I'm watching the clock and I got an appointment, so as it were. On a Sunday? You betcha. No, I'm just kidding. Just that sounds weird. That would be really sus, but no, and that was the thing all through college. Yep, there's my alarm. I was like the Van Wilder, and I did the Van Wilder approach to things. Like I did take the better part of a decade, mostly because I wasn't really comfortable to get back into the real world, but also I wasn't finished either. Like I didn't finish my degree at the first part, so I had unfinished business. Ooh, and then like, but I knew how to help facilitate things, like, grease the wheels or whatever, like get things going, and for better or for worse, like movers, shakers, producers, all that thing, like those concepts of people that make things happen. And yeah, and it's just, you like to hope. But right there, like the Joel Osteen, horrible person. And if you're listening to this, Joel, you suck. And that's because you live in a mansion. I'm not saying everybody that lives in a mansion, but you're out there trying to preach the teachings of Christianity. And that's like the exact opposite of what Christianity is about. And I'm not even that Christian. I'm just saying, like, and that's partly why, is because I get so disgusted with people that live like that. And it's like, oh man, all of this really nice stuff that I heard, oh, that's so sweet, oh, that's so nice, like people are good, holy, holy, this and that. And then you see jackasses like, sorry, yeah, like Joel Osteen, like living in a mega mansion. Screw you, Joel. All right, go watch some South Park. And South Park would say the same thing. Like, I could see this being a South Park episode and be like, like somebody's making a lot of sense and being all peaceful, like world peace, except for Joel. You suck, Joel. And I have a friend named Joel, so I hate saying that, because even as I say that, I thought about my friend. Not you, Joel. Sorry, no, Joel Osteen. It's like- but yeah, like that's that guy. Not saying like do anything to him. It's just like he sucks. That's it. He can fix it if he wants to, and if not, I'm just saying stop giving him money. Jeez, like. And now this is the rant after the movie's over, and there's like the person that's like at the end credits, and then or like in Family Guy when they're comparing all the different cultures and ethnicities, and they're like not like the dirty Mexicans, and then they say, oh no, the Mexicans are an industrious people or something like that, and then at the end like Peter's like, yeah, not like that lazy Canada, and then it zooms in waiting for him to say something positive about Canada, and he just looks around like he's annoyed. He's like, what? Canada sucks, and then it ends. Canada does not suck. They're actually much more sensible than us. But that was the joke. And it's actually written by, I'm pretty sure the writer is a Canadian. I think it's been said. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like, somebody that understands the culture of being a Canadian and then ripping on themselves while understanding that Canadians are genuinely just like a lot nicer for a lot of these reasons. You can't really get away with being mean up there, and nor would you want to. And they also have a lot less problems to solve, so it's easier to be nice. Let's not forget that. But I mean, yeah, it's easy to see that Canadians are generally nicer. All right. Oh, and that's why, see, I would have almost fallen, but I couldn't go. All right, that's good for now. I got to go do a thing. I will see you. Actually, I might do a couple of Elden Rings tonight, but I'm going to go do this thing. And until later, until next time, friends, have a good one. Ta ta.